What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it yet, do go check it out, and let's jump straight into things. So you'll see price failed to trade to the buy side liquidity, which I was anticipating, but we did roll over within the fair value gap, which I was talking about as being a possibility 2 days ago. So if you watch my Sunday review, or was it Monday now? I think it was Sunday, but I was saying how I did want to see price trade into the fair value gap, and it's either going to continue and trade higher or roll over. And here you can see we've clearly rolled over, and then we had some very large expansion to the downside, and you can see we've nicely traded down into that 4-hour fair value gap, which I also draw our attention to. So let's drop down to the lower time frames, take a closer look at delivery, and you can see now we've created a beautiful breaker here. We've got a high, a low, a higher high, some crazy displacement, and then I'd like to think that we can see a continuation of this moving into the latter part of the week. So it is possible that this is the high of the week, having been made on Tuesday. It'll be nice if it is, and that will be very classic in terms of the week's delivery, in that, you know, creating the high on Tuesday, expanding throughout to Thursday, and then getting potential retracement on the Friday. So this is all in line with what we expected, because we do want to see a down close week. So this rallying that we're witnessing now is still in line with our goals, so to speak. So yeah, let's go down to the 1 hour, and you'll see I've got the daily dividers, and we can take a look at price. I'll get rid of these for now. And again, we had this placement at 3 a.m. so perfect setup. Again, 3 a.m. is when you want to look for your setup. Could have gone short into the bearish order block, and then from then on price just carried on trading lower. So yeah, traded nicely down into the 4-hour fair value gap. I do believe we are going to continue to trade down into here. So this, where volume is sat right now, is the top of a inversion fair value gap. So I do believe that's explaining why we're kind of found resistance here. So this is an inversion fair value gap I drew our attention to a while ago now, and you can see our price is just kind of consolidating around there. We'll probably continue to consolidate, but generally speaking, I do want to see price trade through it and manage to get down below this 4-hour fair value gap. So if that can run, that would be good. It might be a matter of us filling the fair value gap and, you know, retracing again, but ideally I'd like to think that we'll see a continuation, because there is sell side liquidity residing down here, and there's potential for price to get down and deep into this discount. So that is a possibility. In terms of rallying, I don't necessarily think we are going to make it all the way back to the breaker tomorrow. I think price is going to continue to be quite weak. So let's go to the 15-minute. There's a lot on my charts right now, slightly messy. Let me get rid of some things. Let's get rid of this. The 4-hour fair value gap is still relevant. This red level is a weak consequent encroachment, so I'm still expecting price to trade down towards this level. And then you can see we're also below that Sunday opening price. So again, although I'm not expecting price to rally all the way up there, the fact that we're below it now and on the other side of it means that I'd expect price to stay on that other side moving to the rest of the week. So moving into tomorrow, again, I'm looking for that fair value gap to get traded through, and then for us to hit this consequent encroachment level, which I've had drawn out. What is this massive grey box? This grey box is an imbalance from the... I need to start marking out what my actual PD arrays are. Oh, this is a weekly fair value gap down here. So I'm going to get rid of this for now, just to clean it up a bit, and it looks like price is going to continue to expand. But it'll be nice to see us tap into that consequent encroachment. So once that consequent encroachment from the weekly is traded to, it's a matter of seeing, do we trade through it or not? Because if we trade through it, it will use it as resistance, and price will keep running, and then we can start looking at these lows. And that's what I mean. We'll see then this week will be very large, and like we'd know that we're clearly expanding to the downside. Whereas it's also a possibility that we simply come to this consequent encroachment and price just starts consolidating longer. So we do need to be aware of that, but we do have quite a lot of high impact tomorrow, such as inflation rate, and obviously we've got the Fed chair speaking. So I am expecting a continuation to the downside overall, but I do think that we will find resistance once we get down there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe create the low down here and then price just retraces and we start messing about below that 4-hour fair value gap. So once we're below this 4-hour fair value gap, I'll be paying very close attention, because I'd be then anticipating price to use it as resistance. So let's just make this stand out a little bit more. And it's just about a matter of watching us trade through it, because like I said, as soon as we're below it, I want to see it treated as resistance, and if it keeps touching it, I'd like to think that it would continue to act that way. A bit like what happened here. As soon as we traded through this gap, you can see our price found resistance at it and hasn't been able to get back through it, and also the way it delivers through it. So look at the 50% level of this between here and here, midpoint's about here. You see how we consolidate at that level and then it leaves it. Same thing I'm expecting to happen here. 50% level, once we get there, it'll probably consolidate slightly and then continue on to the downside. But because of how weak we are in general, it's very possible that this may even happen to you in Asia. So that's just something to take note of. But overall, I'm looking for us to get to the consequent encroachment and then maybe a slight rebound, and then moving into tomorrow, we'll have to see, are we expecting us to completely run out these lows, or are we just going to like consolidate into the rest of the week? So that's going to be everything on dollar. Very nice to see that this fair value gap's, you know, traded through. So we've traded up through it, down through it, up through it again, and now we've left it. So this is a balanced price range, and because it's in the premium, that means that this is hinting that we're bearish, because as far as I'm concerned, if we were bullish, price would have been able to make it up to the buy side liquidity, but it failed to do so. Yes, we ran out these highs, but we've made a balanced price range and we've left it. So price shouldn't need to rebalance this price range now, or really it shouldn't need to even think about these premium PD arrays, because this is quite telling of price that, okay, it probably wants to hunt for lower imbalances, you know, discount PD arrays that we'll find in below these lows. So let's go to the 4 hour, see what we can find. Is there any? There's not really any clear imbalances that I can see, except for all the way down here, and I'm not expecting that for now. But yeah, it was nice to see how price treated this gap basically, and how we've now clearly used it as a bearish PD array to carry on lower. So very telling. Let's go to GBP USD. Crazy expansion on this again. 3 a.m. setup, and look, this is what I talked about yesterday. If you watched yesterday's video, you'll know I called out this level, and I also said 3 a.m. I'd want to see us trade into it. And look, price traded beautifully to it. Look at the time, 3 a.m. Go long, beautiful expansion to the upside, running out Monday's highs again, creating a breaker, low, high, lower, low. So any kind of retracement would be wanting to see that as support in the new day, and then we want to see us expand. I'm looking now into these highs. We've got some relative equal highs here and here. So let's go to the daily and take a closer look. And I'm going to clear some stuff up because my charts are a bit of a mess. But this buy side liquidity I've had marked out already. This was the highest I was expecting price to trade, but it's looking like if we're to remain bullish, price will simply trade through that. However, we can still use it as a target for now. Let's go to the 4 hour. There's that breaker high. So any kind of retracement, this would be the lowest I'd want to see price trade. But again, I'm not really expecting much retracement whatsoever. We're looking extremely bullish in that I'm not really expecting price to drop or offer much opportunity in the downside before continuing its rallying. And then we have an imbalance up here, which I'm now looking at. So you know what, let's just clear the charts completely because it is a bit of a mess. I am going to mark out this just to see where we're coming from, because one really important thing about trading is to know where you're coming from. You need to know where you're coming from and where you're going to. So we're coming from here, and this is our trading range, low to high. So this is where we're going to, ideally. So I'm going to mark this out as a ideal buy side liquidity target. We'll make this blue. And then I'm also going to mark out this 4 hour fair value gap, which is just above here. That price can, what do you call it? Low hanging fruit objective. And then we can now use that as ideas, as we can see in the range where we are. Like we're coming from here. How you can even use the Fibonacci in cases like this to see, okay, where are we in this range? And you can see we're just above the 50% level. So we're expecting some kind of potential run on stops, which is where this breaker last up close candle comes into account. And again, price may drop down into it depending on how much it wants to offer us to maybe create the low, and then I'd want to see us continue to rally and fill this fair value gap. But I think as we drop to the low time frames, it should be easier for us to frame. Let's go to the 15 minute, and then we have discount PD arrays here, in that we've got an imbalance between this low and this high. Now this can stay open, but it'd be nice to think that this could offer us a potential longing opportunity moving into London or even the Asian range. But again, this will be the low. This is the lowest I want to see price trade for me to be happy to go long, with the expectation that we're going to run out stops above this high and in this fair value gap, because these are relative equal highs, aren't they? But yeah, we're looking extremely bullish. So again, I don't know how much opportunity is going to be offered, but I'm going to keep an eye on this fair value gap from the 15 minute, just because it's a clear imbalance between this high and this low. It's in the discount of this range that we're currently trading in, and yeah, it's looking like we're going to consolidate as we move into the Asian session. And whilst price is doing that, we can be looking at dollar to rally slightly. You can see similar 15 minute fair value gap between this low and this high. You might want to tap into that, and then it might want to use that to then trade on lower and get through that 4 hour fair value gap, which is what I'm looking at. So ideally, again, I'm not really expecting us to rally above this at all. I'm seeing looking at how heavy weight and how heavily we're dropping. This is trading through this seems very unlikely. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So make sure you have post notifications turned on, guys. You know, then you won't miss a video, and you can constantly stay updated, because this week's been pretty strong so far, and so was last week as well. I've been enjoying this year, considering we've been doing all right this year. So make sure to stay tuned, to turn on those post notifications. And if I send this, let's move the visibility up. I want to send it behind. Center back, right? So this is an inversion fair value gap now. So we have a 50-minute delivery to the downside, and look, we closed above it on the upside. This is even more reason as to why, if price is to tap down here, it should act bullishly, because we've traded on the downside, we've covered it on the upside. So if price drops down back into it, what should it do? It should act bullishly, right? And that should help send price higher. Again, we've got our ideal target is up here by end of the week, because, you know, that's our current trading range. This low to this high, we're moving from here, you know. But then this fair value gap is a low hanging fruit. I'm not saying we're necessarily going to reach there tomorrow. It might be a matter of us reaching there on Thursday. Like, we might find that we consolidate, say, Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, we get the continuation we need. But generally speaking, for the rest of the week, I'd like to think we don't need to drop any lower than this. And we can look at the Sunday opening price to help us with that, which is over, excuse me, Sunday opening price. Oh. Sunday opening price, gosh me, which is over here. Is this it? This looks like it. Yep. And yeah, I like the fact that we're above it now, and I like the fact that we've made a low on Tuesday like this. This seems like a very classic week. And like I said, breaker, low, high, low, low. It's looking like some nice setups are going to be forming. So we're going to finish up on Euro USD as per usual. Euro used this range to trade on lower. Let's go to the daily, take a closer look, and you can see how price rallied quite beautifully right through this inversion fair value gap. So again, this is where the inversion fair value gap becomes useful, because we can, now that we're above it, we know, okay, it should act bullishly if we drop down into it. So I'm kind of just repeating myself here. I don't want to keep doing so, it's getting annoying. But, you know, look, we failed to take out this low. Remember, I marked out this low, this low, and this low at the beginning of the week, saying, hey, we might be getting down here, but look what's happening. Look at volume. First of all, volume staying above this. Wait, let me get rid of this. First of all, volume is refusing to trade and close below this low. We failed to trade below this low at all. So now, you know, it's come this close, and we've had a large expansion to the upside and displacement on the lower time frames. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to worry about this anymore. 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 We move to the now, and then this fair value gap, we've traded through it, so it should act bullishly. But now I've got my eyes set on this one. So we've got this low to this high. We closed above that on Tuesday. So now moving into Wednesday, same thing. Price drops into it. We're expecting it to find support, and then we can start looking into highs. So let's look at our current trading range. So we can look at this high to this low, and then we can use that high as a target for price, assuming we remain bullish. Now let's go down to the 4 hour, take a closer look. And then we have a range here. I can't remember what range this is, if it's an inversion fair value gap. Yeah, interesting consolidation, but I'm going to get rid of this nonetheless. And then we also have these highs above here to trade to as well. And again, similarly to what we looked at on GBP, you can see how we have a discount PD array for price to potentially tap into before trading higher. Same here on Euro. We have this inversion fair value gap for price to potentially tap into before ideally rallying and getting up to our first target. And then we can see whether it can hit up here as well. And you can see that that first target is also lined up with a premium PD array, fair value gap right there. So yeah, again, when you see expansions like this in the week, even if you missed this move, quote unquote, I don't like to use that word, but even if you missed it, you know, it's offering us opportunity, because we see a willingness to go higher. We can identify PD arrays such as the breakers, low, high, low, low, rally. So we can look at that swing high right here as a breaker, and then we can anticipate price to be able to drop down into some kind of discount around this time of the week as well, which is classic, to then give us the setups we need. And we know what times, 3 a.m., 8 a.m., etc. So yeah, same thing, expecting price to drop maybe during Asia, ideally during London, but mainly during Asia. We have a clear consolidation, original consolidation right here, low, high, low, low. So price always returns to the original consolidation before trading higher. It's very classic, you can study that. But this is what we'd call the original consolidation, and this is where this move originated to. So it's very typical for price to return to that, and that's what's going to support our bias in wanting to see us drop down into here, moving into the new day. And then again, we've got our range targets and fair value gap, and then it'll be cool to see if we can get up here. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that all makes sense. again, tomorrow might not move as much as we anticipate, like especially having so much movement on Monday and Tuesday. I wouldn't be surprised if Wednesday was a little bit more fickle, and then Thursday we saw the continuations on Fridays, especially when you got news like the Fed chair power testimonies, because I know 10 a.m. news like that, when it's talks and things like that, it can consolidate price quite heavily, and it can drag out, and I usually avoid it. Like, I think it's the FOMC talks and things like that. It really makes the markets just difficult, and it drags, and it feels like forever. So I'd rather wait until the following day, which is why I think tomorrow, as much as we have our setups and targets in line, we probably won't see as much movement as we move towards the latter part of the New York session, sorry. But or if we are going to see movement, it'll be towards the afternoon, so it won't be till about 1 p.m, 2 p.m. So we'll see. But that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, and also join the Discord. All the links are in the description. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.